2-1-2. Selection, few injuries to go through. Stephen Fletcher, first of all, what's the state of play with him?
I think, as I said before with Stephen, we've kind of a normal process with someone that's been out for a period of time. A normal process would be to have a few weeks block of training and possibly some minutes with the 23s before he was back in. But obviously with the presence and the influence Fletch has on the team, we probably needs must and put him back into the team. And he did 45 on Saturday, just felt very tired, and that's quite understandable. So it was more just taking him off at that moment, more precautionary, and knowing that he was tired. And we haven't been able to get too much training into him, but as I said before, as many minutes on the pitch as he can get is going to do him the world of good.
So is it not worth playing him tomorrow with Brentford in mind at the weekend, or do you
we'll see.
Still stick him in?
We'll see with that, but he'll definitely be involved, whether that's starting or coming from the bench. But we'll decide that.
All right.
No, look, it's a unique opportunity for us. We're going to play against the reigning champions of England. We all know what that brings, the challenge that brings, and the quality of that, what they bring. I don't think it matters personnel-wise with them. They have quality throughout the whole squad. These are world-class players. One of the best teams in Europe as we stand right now, with one of the best managers over the last 10, 15 years on the planet. So we all know what that poses. But what we're trying to do is work and put ourselves in the best position to give ourselves a really good account of ourselves. We know how difficult it's going to be, how big the odds against us achieving an outcome that we want, but it's the challenge that you should want, and the challenge that we've been working on since the Derby game to give ourselves the best opportunity to produce a performance, a result, and something that we can be proud of and our fans can be proud of.
How do you give yourself a chance? Can you see chinks in the armour that can be got at?
Very few, but no, I think that's how you have to work. You have to believe that. We're going to have to be very, very good from a defensive point of view. Of course we are. I think that's obvious. And then, of course, there's certain ways that we feel that we can attack and maybe could cause them a problem that we've been working on. So that's the same as every game. But of course, we're playing a much bigger opponent, much more quality, much more danger. And what we have to do is get all of it right and at a very high level, and that's what we've been preparing for. If we can deliver it at a high level, like anything in football, you can cause problems and you can cause trouble yourself, but we're going to have to be very focused on delivering that performance. We're not going to be able to make mistakes. That's the key against this type of team that we're going to play against.
Given that Manchester City are likely to have most of the ball, much more than probably any championship side that you've faced this season, how key is it the work off the ball then to make sure that concentration levels that perhaps weren't there on Saturday are there Wednesday night?
Yeah, we won't be afforded to make mistakes. We're not being afforded in the moment that this period that we've been in, where we've made against, without any disrespect, less quality squads, of course. That's obvious, and we've been punished by those mistakes, so we're not going to be able to make a mistake. But we're not going into it worrying about mistakes. We're going to go into it about trying to work in a certain way that we can help ourselves defensively, and then in a certain way where we feel that we can help ourselves offensively as well. So it's not about going in fearing we're going to make mistakes. Teams like Manchester City and the players that they have force mistakes regardless. They force every single team they play against to make mistakes. But if we can do it in the right way, in the right manner, and not self-inflict those mistakes, I've always said it, if an opposition forces those mistakes and put you in a position with quality, then you can live with that. But what you can't do is self-inflict and make mistakes that are needless and put yourself in a position where you don't need to. So but we're not going into it thinking like that. You'd be stupid to go into think like that. What we need to do is understand that there will be situations we're going to have to face and work in a certain way to help us in that, and then try and give ourselves the right account of ourselves when we have the ball.
It's important that you're looking forward to having an FA Cup tie at home at last.
Yeah. Is it the first one, is it?
Yeah, something like that.
I think you told me before the last round. So yeah, not an easy one for your first home one, but nah, a good one. It's the same for all of us. The players that challenge themselves against such a good team, such a good manager for myself. To come up against a manager of that calibre and all those things that go for me and my staff and the fans and everything else. We've earned the right as well. Let's not forget. We've put in two really good performances and two performances or results that people probably didn't expect, especially the Brighton one, and we gave a great account of ourselves. And I know it's a different calibre that we're playing against, but if we can produce the same types of performances and levels, then we can cause our own problems. But we have to get a lot of things right for that to happen. But let's challenge ourselves to that. Let's rise to that occasion, and I'm sure the players will.
If you can produce a performance to be proud of, can that give the rest of the season something as well?
Yeah, that's the plan. We felt that after Birmingham and Charlton, and of course first half on Saturday we've let ourselves down and felt that. But you can always change things in football. You can always get that back, and that's what we have to believe, and that's what we have to do. So this performance is for the FA Cup. It's a totally different challenge. It's a different competition, but hopefully coming out of that with a really good performance and something that we can be proud, and then take that into that confidence into the game at the weekend as well.
Best of luck.
Cheers.
Does it feel like a bit of a free hit, this, Garry? I know it's midweek, but how welcome is the difference from the grind of the league at the minute?
It's definitely not a free hit. I know, let's be obvious, is we're not expected to win. It'd be very difficult for us to win the game, but I think it's great. We've earned the right to be facing Manchester City. We've done very, very well in the two previous games, really good performances, and it's an opportunity to face one of the best, and it's a unique situation. It's great, and that's the challenge. And if we can use that and harness a good performance and something where we do ourselves justice, hopefully that can give even more of a boost to everyone and our fans and our players and everyone connected, and take that into the rest of the season. So that's what we're hoping for from the game. But the number one is this game ahead of us. Fantastic challenge. It's great to be involved in it, and I think as the players, I'm sure they go out there and we'll be giving our all for sure.
You spoke about Pep Guardiola coming up against Guardiola again. Looking back at your record against some of the big name, Bielsa and Van Gaal as well, going back a bit further, does it bring out the best in you personally coming up against someone like this?
No, it's the same. I think every manager, well, as far as I'm aware, that I want to win every game. Do you know what I mean? And the bigger the challenge, the better. And that's the mentality I kind of always had. And I don't think it matters who it is. I think it's fantastic. It's a unique and great opportunity for all of us. To try and prove ourselves and test ourselves against some of the best in the world. And obviously, with the managers, over the last 10-15 years, if not being one of the best in the world, in terms of that. So it's a fantastic challenge for me and for my staff, but it's also a massive and fantastic challenge for the players. So it's one to relish. We deserve this opportunity, and yes, it's away from the league. Hopefully that can help us. It's not going to come any tougher than this game tomorrow night, but one that we should all be looking forward to. Our fans should be looking forward to it, and great belief that the players will go out there and give absolutely everything in this game.
You spoke a bit about it. Have you got any sort of personal, real affinity with the FA Cup?
Having a home game's nice.
Yeah.
But no, you grow up on it. I grew up on it. My first memory, so that would be 87, 88, was Tottenham versus Coventry. I think it was 87. I kind of half remember the 86 World Cup, Mexico. Remember bits of that, but 87 was my first vivid memory of, and it was Tottenham versus Coventry. I remember that. So my first memory of football was FA Cup. So it's massive tradition and massive club. And I know there's been bits over more modern about teams that play perceived weakened teams and stuff like that in competitions. You're devaluing the FA Cup, but then coming to this side of it, management, I understand how difficult it can be sometimes to select the team for that with so many games, especially in the Championship where you're playing so many games. It's not about devaluing it at all. I think everyone cherishes the FA Cup. Growing up on the FA Cup is, you want to do well in it. Of course you do. It's a fantastic. I think everyone loves it. And, it's been part of the heritage of this country for a long, long time. And there'll never be any disrespect towards that. But one that hopefully we can do well in tomorrow, and if we get the opportunity, and there is a chance, and we know it's a very small chance, but if there's a chance to progress, we need to try and do our best to try and take that.
Without sort of giving away any team news or anything, then
don't ask me.
Is it another opportunity? And we've spoken before about the cup games and stuff. Is it?
Garry, you mentioned the two cup games, and I presume you'd put Ellen Road up there as one of the sort of highlights of the last couple of months as well. When your team's in these big games, are you confident that regardless of the result, we'll see the best of Sheffield Wednesday?
Well, from evidence, yeah. No, I've got a feeling that these lads will give their all in this game, and they will try and work in a way to try and give themselves the best chance. And as I said to them, they've earned the right to play against this type of team. We've earned the right to be in this round, and we want to try, even though it's a small chance, we want to try and give ourselves the best chance of making it to the next round. It can happen. Of course, it needs a lot to go right for that to happen, but if you don't believe in that, then you shouldn't be in sport or professional sport, especially in football. So we have to believe that, and the sense I get from the players is exactly that, and it's also to try and use this as a chance to showcase what we can do and take that into the rest of the league. But it's a massive game, massive occasion, one to really put our teeth into, and hopefully we can come out and give a justifiable performance. That's what we want to see.
Because you know, Hawthorns was another example that obviously didn't win that with the mistakes later.
Just going back to Pep, Gary, how much do you admire what he's done in his career and, you know, the way that his team's played?
I think any aspiring manager making their way in the game, of course you always look at the very top, and they're the ones to give you that inspiration of, you know, of what they've done in their careers. They're at the very highest end of the game, the elite managers, you know, and Pep's, as I said, over the last 10-15 years has produced unbelievable results, unbelievable performances, constructed teams to the highest level, and you don't do that by luck, you do that by expertise and just the level of how he's working. So fantastic to come up against that type of manager, fantastic from a staff, fantastic for the team to come up that calibre of team as well, and it's one to relish and enjoy. And you do that by working as hard as you can, as I said, being at the very top of our performance and needing some luck on top of that as well, because that's what you're going to need against that team. But what you shouldn't do is fear it. It's the more in the mentality. We need to relish that, and that's what I tried to put into the team this week, and that's what I'm sure we'll see come tomorrow night.
I remember speaking to
Gary, just going back to City, they haven't lost a domestic cup tie now for 2 years, and obviously won the League Cup on Sunday. Did they have this aura now about them?
I think you just understand that they're a top elite team, you know, one of the best in Europe, and we can go on all day about the achievements that they've made and, you know, what the players can achieve, what type of players they've got, and all those things, how difficult it's going to be for us. We all know that, you know, we're fully aware of that, but it's trying to understand that that's the challenge ahead of us, and it's one that you need to rise to. There's no fear in any of that. You shouldn't be fearing that. You should be, these are why you play, this is why you manage to play against these top teams and challenge yourself to that. And of course all the odds are against us, and as I said before, we're going to have to be at our very, very best and with a little bit of luck on top, but who says that we can't do that, you know? So that's the kind of mentality we need, and that's what we've been talking about and training, and I'm sure that we'll see that type of mentality in the game tomorrow night.
Hi Gary.
Just going along the line, isn't it? It's all in order.
After the weekend's defeat that this was the worst